Live to tape from Tampa, Florida, with your host, Andy Signor. He may have lost the fight, but he'll win the war. This is Nerd Wars.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Season 2 of Nerd Wars. And we're back, and since our first episode tackled Marvel, it's only fair that we now tackle DCU because we're an equal hater channel here. That's right. I've been known all my life as a paid Marvel junkie. I hate DC. But you know what? Maybe I'm going to change my tune in this episode. Today's topic is Zack Snyder a genius? Is he actually a secret genius that was just ahead of his time? We're going to have this debate because I've been on record. I have not been a fan of all Zack Snyder's films, but I want to break this down because some new quotes from him about Batman and his work have come out, his director cuts, etc. We're going to talk all about it, and I've brought 4 new nerds. Let's go to our wide shot here so we can see the studio and everybody who's here. Hey, everybody. Hi. Yes, that was fun. We got over here to my left, I got 2 delightful fellows who are going to be here in the camp of, is Zack Snyder genius? What do you guys think?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so we have the genius side here. We have Adon. Welcome back.
It's good to be back.
And we have Damien.
Hello. Zack Snyder is a god.
So you guys are teaming up to say he's a god. You've always felt this way? Is this something you just learned? Tell me quickly.
No, I've always liked Zack Snyder's films. Every time I see Zack Snyder is directing something, I'm excited to see his films. I'm excited to see his vision.
I would say, yeah, like it's something I'm more discovering that as I'm going into his work, I'm going into it more and more with excitement. I was taking it with a grain of salt with his earlier works, but each time I'm being more and more pleased with it, and I want to see more out of him, and I like his opinions on it.
All right, well, let's hear who does not think he's a genius. We got on the couch here. Lee, welcome back.
Hey, glad to be back.
It's good to have you. And next to you, we got Gil.
Hello.
Oh, good old Gil. You guys do not think he's a genius?
No, absolutely not. You actually have to be able to create something original to be considered a genius. So I would say no.
I do think he is a god, though, but it's one of those shit gods that really doesn't have any powers.
A vindictive, angry god?
Well, not even that. It's just like, it's one of those, like, I am the god of fur. Like, you don't really do anything. You just live forever.
I am the god of flair.
On that note, I'm going to take my first drink from my sweet Natty Light. Not a sponsor. I just like it. All right, we're going to break this down. Yeah, we're going to break this down. Who knew Natty Light was flavored? It's a natter day every time here on Nerd War.
No one knew that, actually.
I just found that out today.
Strawberry lemonade nat. I'm like, yes. Thank you, Sam and Lynn, for bringing that by. All right. So we're going to break this down like we do. This is a long-form debate. We're not going to do a bunch of topics. We're going to really hammer this out and let us really get into it. Is Zack Snyder a genius? Let's break it down. You guys at home will be the ultimate judge. I'm not a judge in this show. I'm just a moderator. I'm going to chime in. Honestly, I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder, but something changed me, and I want to show it right here. I'm going to start there because these quotes are pretty key. Like, can we cue up Batman-ish number 1? Zack Snyder was recently quoted as saying this when someone asked him about Batman. Someone says to me, Batman killed a guy, and I'm like, fuck, really? Wake the fuck up. I guess that's what I'm saying. Once you've lost your virginity to this fucking movie, and then you come and say to me something about, like, my superhero wouldn't do that. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, down the fucking road on that. Continuing to Batman 2. It's a cool point of view to be like, my heroes are still innocent. My heroes didn't fucking lie to America. My heroes didn't embezzle money from their corporations. My heroes didn't fucking commit any atrocities. That's cool, but you're living in a fucking dream world.
I really have to say, I think he's confused Lex Luthor with Bruce Wayne.
I gotta
Lex
say,
Luthor does all that.
When I read these quotes, I kind of was like, wow, is he a secret genius?
He's on a lot of cocaine. It's what he's on.
What? I love this quote. There's so much to unpack about these quotes, but I mean, I don't know. I kind of see what he's saying in a weird way. I also think he's a crazy person. But this idea of, like, showing that your heroes are flawed and that they don't fuck up.
Yeah.
Hello, that's the reality.
Marvel does that all the time.
Yeah, and it's like,
without killing them.
Now, did he do a good job of it? We're going to break that down of it. But those are key quotes. I'll quote it again if anyone needs it throughout the show. But let's keep it around that point because our only 3 topics on this are going to be: did he ruin the DCU? That's clearly an important part that a lot of fanboys really have lost their shit over him because of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League, whatever version of Justice League, the direction he was taking it. They think he fucked up the DCU. Did he? Number 2, how does his non-DCU body of work hold up? We're talking about Dawn of the Dead, 300, Sucker Punch. He's done a lot of music videos, The Guardians of Gaul, all of it. How does it compare? And then finally, number 3, we're going to debate, is he a good director? We're going to break all this down and really trying to break down, is he a genius? And last week I gave the positives the first word. I'm going to let the detractors, the negatives, go first time.
Well,
and Lee, Gil, you have the space, you have the time. Is Zack Snyder a genius?
Go ahead, Gil.
I mean, if by genius you mean a man who obviously got way too drunk and decided to rant on freaking Twitter, or I don't know, was it actually an interview or did you just?
No, it was an interview. It was during a showing of the Batman v Superman director's cut.
Oh my god!
Yeah, people wanted to see that.
Yeah, exactly. I feel so bad for the people who decided that would be a good idea. I'd rather punch myself in the dick multiple times, but it feels as if like that's
why though, Gil?
Because it's the man. I've said it before and I've said it 1,000 times. I'm sure everyone knows that I've said this 1,000 times. The man understands photography. He'd be a great director of photography, but he doesn't understand the why.
All right, so we're sort of keep us on topic. The question of does he understand the source material overall? Did he understand it with the DCU? Did he ruin the DCU for you guys?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I mean,
why?
Because the Martha thing, first of all, just to bring it back, that's become a meme now.
It is a meme, yes.
How much of that film do you actually remember, except for that one part where it's like, oh, your mother's name's Martha too?
So here's the thing, though. So you say source material. The source material for that movie, Batman v Superman, was The Dark Knight Returns. Zack Snyder wanted to remake The Dark Knight Returns, which is about old Batman and old Superman fighting it out, forced by outside, forces to battle it out. Now, you can't force that into a movie where these two guys first meet. That doesn't carry the emotional gravitas. That doesn't have years of backstory where these two friends are forced to fight. It's stupid. It's two entitled fucks who both hate each other for the exact same reason. You have no oversight and you have all this power. You're a fucking vigilante with no fucking oversight. Like, that's the exact same thing. Neither of y'all have anyone to report to. You're freaking supervillain. You're basically on the borderline of supervillains in that movie.
He has a bigger budget though, so that's
he has a big budget.
His a little hot. Just make sure.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
He's a big. It's all style, no substance.
Well, also
that's
the
all
fact that
all right. Well, you both to the piece. I want to hear this. Let's hear Damien and Adon chime in.
All right.
Is he a genius? And does he understand his DCU source material?
Absolutely, yes. He does understand his DCU. First of all, he wasn't trying to take the DCU in the direction that everyone wanted the DCEU to go to. There was Marvel, shiny, polished Marvel, and he decided to say, you know what? I'm going to take DC in a different direction. I'm going to take it darker. I'm going to take it grittier. I'm going to take it in this way that we haven't seen it before. We already had bright and shiny Superman. We already had the bright and shiny versions of all these characters before. We already had Tim Burton's Batman. We had those. He decided to say, no, I'm going to take you in another direction, which, in my opinion and in our opinion, probably led towards the Injustice version of the DC, which DC can get dark. These properties can get very dark. And he was like, you know what? They already got spit polish over here. Let me show you what else we can do with these characters. Let me put them in real conflict where they have real emotions and they have to deal with real trauma. Sorry, that's genius. That's taking superheroes and taking these superpowered gods and putting them in a situation where they had to show real emotion. That's what he was going for, and I stand by it.
As a matter of fact, I would piggyback on that. I would say he understood the source material a little bit too well, in the sense that, like, we want to keep it more real. We want to make it gritty. We want to keep everything there. We saw that in Man of Steel. Perfect example of it. It's a dark Superman. It's a Superman that is flawed, and that's what we want. We want to grow there. Batman versus Superman, he's introducing, yes, the Dark Knight Returns story, but he's also introducing a bunch of other stories and he's fitting them in together. And just because we don't see it all fitting perfectly doesn't mean he's not a genius for it. Because it's number one, Batman versus Superman, great talking point. Everybody wants to talk about that movie. Either, there are highlights on it, the parts that he couldn't execute that we wanted to see, the parts that were executed, the vision that you said that he was potentially wanting to go Injustice. And for anybody who has not read Injustice,
fantastic.
At
the
very least, get the game and just play through the story mode. It is fantastic.
Watch the opening movie.
But it is one of the darkest DC stories you're going to come by. That is also arguably kid-friendly in some areas.
But is it grounded? Is it in reality?
Yeah. Is any comic
book
grounded?
Which is what he's saying. You're living in a dream world. Yeah, it's the comic book dream world that we all want to see on TV,
more
on screen.
Grounded than a lot of other areas.
It doesn't need to be grounded.
Well,
the man's a fucking alien.
We're talking about his vision. We're talking about his vision and why is it so great. Like
not.
his Batman is my best Batman.
His Batman, it was great up until the point where he started mowing people down and running people over like he's in Grand Theft Auto.
Batman.
And you know what?
That's
It's not Grand Theft Auto.
That's not new. Batman has done that in every
He didn't
movie.
know who those people were.
Every single
He didn't
Batman
know their
iteration.
backstory.
They were shooting at him. They're
Not
bad
all
guys.
of them. He flipped that one fucking Brinks truck and just threw it. He didn't know who they worked for.
They had families.
They
all
were
did in
people.
every Batman movie. You
Just
can't
'cause they're
use
not
Batman
rich
as
and
a-
don't-
All right, so hold on. So
They
hold on.
had parents,
They've already done
which
that.
he
Hold on.
didn't.
Hold on. So here's the thing.
No.
So you're arguing that he's not a genius for what he was doing, and he didn't understand the Superman and the Batman v Superman. And you didn't
Absolutely.
like you didn't like that. Okay, so here's a couple things that he did do that people tend to look over. You said, "Oh, these people are supposed to have all this history." Guess what? Two people can meet each other and not like each other.
Yeah,
Two
they
people
can.
cannot know each other. In fact, it's from not knowing each other that they can have a fight. The difference is that one story says, "Hey, I've known you for years, and we're pitted on different sides," and another version says, "Hey, man, I really don't know who you are, and you have this thing you did ruin a city, and you did do these things. I don't know you, man. So yes, you're a threat to me." That's the difference.
Up until our mothers had the exact same
so he
name.
told-
I mean.
Conversation.
So he
I'd be
told,
like, hey, let's
okay,
talk this
you know
out.
what?
Lee, wake the fuck up, okay?
You guys can use the Martha argument all you want, but I'm
Nice.
sorry, my mom's name is unique, and if you were sitting there fighting
wait,
with me
what's
and
your
said
mother's
my
Hold on,
mom's name,
it's interesting. I
What's
want
your
because
mother's
the Martha one comes up, but he actually also in the same place. I pulled it. He just explained the Martha minute. Finally, Zack Snyder has defended. Here's what he says. It's funny because we, screenwriter Chris Terrio and I, did research that in the point in the movie in our discussions. We did reach that point in the movie in our discussions. We knew how to get them to fight, right? But how do you get them to stop fighting? That's a tough one. And we sort of were just throwing down on their humanity. And Batman realizes Superman has humanity. And he's just not just a creature. He's a man. He's an alien, but he is a human. He's as human in a lot of ways, more human than him, right? It's sort of embraced all the good parts of the human race. And so Batman's able to sort of see in a lot of ways a thing that he is not. And I think that was how we started to talk about it. And then we started to talk about how it could work. And it was Lois that said, maybe it's better that it's that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. Look, it's a mythological construct. I have no problem with that part of it. Apparently it was the screenwriter who first pointed out to him that, wow, they have the same hero's name. And there was apparently a point in the process. I don't know if you guys, I read this in the revealing discussion. Apparently Zack Snyder was going to make Martha Kent be Martha Wayne. There was going to be a twist where Martha Wayne was put in a witness relocation program.
God.
What?
And then he was
So
going to raise
fucking
Superman.
stupid.
Well,
Yeah,
that was
he
also-
understands the source material
that was also
great.
that
Fantastically.
interesting potential turn
Again,
that didn't
Elseworld-
happen but could have been with that. I don't know, but anyway, I just want to throw that out there. Does that help his genius or not? Go ahead.
No.
He doesn't
Well-
build the world. We don't have a world yet. And he's like, oh, well, you know these established things that we have. Paul Kent being the motherfucking badass, like, good, inspirational guy. Fuck that shit. Let's go ahead and turn it over while I'm trying to build a world and have them fight, which already we know he's not going to die.
well, first and
Even though
foremost,
he does,
everyone
and
keeps
then he
skipping
gets
to the point where they
resurrected.
fight. All right, let's
Yeah.
talk about his. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
it's
what
It's
really
called Batman
interesting.
v Superman.
But
it's literally the one thing I've wanted to see my whole childhood because everyone thinks I'm a Marvel fanboy, but can we all agree Batman and Superman are the best heroes?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're fantastic. They're gods.
I don't
That's
know
what they
about
are.
that.
They're gods.
The story that he's
Zeus and
quoting for
Hades.
I'm a
the
big
Dark
Green
Knight
Lantern fan.
Returns. It has that epic scene with Batman versus Superman.
Yep.
But
Kryptonite gloves.
kryptonite gloves and all that with a big battle
City
suit.
of Kandor on the line.
But when you remember that story, when you read the book, how soon was that fight?
That was at the end. That was what?
It was at the very end.
Yeah.
So you build up all this hype, you get all this,
Yeah.
and do they hint at their backstory? Superman's not really in that story as
They're
much
both
as it's
old
mostly,
people. They're both old.
They have an
and
established
how is
world.
Ben
They have an
Affleck-
established
They
history.
established Ben Affleck is old.
Yeah.
Oldish.
Like,
I mean, he's still
no,
able
no,
to do his shit.
the Robin
I mean-
suit.
Yeah,
he
no,
has
no, no.
his
They
history,
established
his
an old
mansions all
Batman
burned.
and a young
Exactly.
Superman, which still
Yeah.
makes no fucking sense if you're trying to build a world forward.
Why
How
does-
old is Batman gonna
Yeah.
get?
What-
Like 70s and fighting alongside
And
the
then-
Justice
and then
League?
how old was he
That
in
doesn't
that
make
story?
sense.
He was grizzled, old, like he could barely
Yeah.
walk.
In DKR,
Well,
They
let me-
just
everyone
cut the middle
was.
ground.
Here's a good
Everyone
reason. Here's a
was.
good reason why Zack Snyder is genius because he made Batman older than Superman. Superman is it's way more powerful than Batman. One of the things that's consistent throughout the comics and throughout the cartoons and throughout all stories of Batman and Superman together is that Superman respects Batman.
Yeah.
Now Batman being older, wiser, more grizzled, more accustomed to being a vigilante and a superhero in his own way, he can be a mentor to Superman.
Yeah.
Had they not fought, he would have been a great mentor to Superman, following up after.
If they had
after
not
Ken.
been impetuous and
Had
not
they
talk
not
to each other
fought.
at all and just threw it out.
Well,
I mean,
guess
It
what?
would've been a better
Again,
story.
you guys are coming up to a point where you're trying to mix what already happened in the comics to what happened in the movies, and that's one of the main
Because
things that
people-
you don't
that's
seem
the
to
only
get.
influence.
No, that's
That's
the
the
influence.
source material.
That's the influence, but that doesn't
Right.
necessarily have to be the case.
No, it doesn't.
He
Not
decided to
everybody
make
does
them
that in
fight at the
comics.
beginning of their journey and then make amends. Batman learned and grew from that. Even in Justice League, which we didn't get the Zack Snyder version of Justice League, but even in Justice League, Batman learned from his mistakes. He learned that he was wrong. He learned that Superman was human. He learned that Superman was sacrificing.
I
So
feel like he
grew
could have
from
learned that over the 30
By
years that
talking.
he had
Okay,
been
so you
fighting.
wanted 11 more films. I understand.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
wanted 11 more films.
I
Everybody
wanted more
that.
foundation,
That's
yes.
MCU. Now you're like, okay, just give me the MCU
I
only
want-
with DC characters.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted.
No, I wanted a foundation. I wanted something to build off
I know.
of. Yes.
I wanted a reason
I
to
didn't
care.
want to jump to the end and just have two characters fight it out. And then like, what if his mom was named Beatrice? Then we would have had Superman Kebab.
Okay, let's
I'm
put it
just
this way.
saying
I would
we would have got
share
nothing
that.
from it. It's a complete coincidence and it's bad writing.
Let's talk about this.
It's a MacGuffin.
All right,
Biggest MacGuffin.
Batman versus Superman, opening scene, the pearls,
Mm-hmm.
right?
What we've seen thousands of times.
Yeah.
yes.
Exactly.
Val Kilmer's
Now you're
drilled
talking
in our
about
head.
you want to build something. You want to know the earlier stage of Batman. You want to get that. We all gotten that over the
Yeah.
years. We're
Yeah, I don't want
fed with
old.
that. He didn't focus on that. He gave you a quick touch for those who don't know it, and then moved
Who doesn't
on.
know it?
And
that's
Batman
right.
has lived his life.
Which
For all we
Spider-Man did
know-
the same thing.
Yeah, they did it with
Yeah.
Homecoming.
They're like,
yeah.
move on.
That's fine.
Exactly.
So
I'm not saying
How
that
many
one
you
little
need to
part doesn't
focus on the
mean
world
it's.
build for that part because everybody knows Batman's story.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
I agree.
Yeah, but we don't know the interaction between Batman and Superman.
we do.
That's
We're
something
getting
you
there.
talk
Yeah,
about.
they got
that movie.
they got to know each other, and they didn't like each other because they were potential threats to each other. They didn't have the same
That's because
ideals.
they framed it that way.
You know who else didn't like each other? The Guardians and Iron Man, Spider-Man in Infinity War,
Listen.
and they sorted it out without having the same mother's name.
They almost killed each
I'm
other,
just
by
saying.
the way. Just
Yeah.
saying.
I mean,
Yeah.
In the
same thing
comics,
with Batman
in the
versus
movie,
Superman.
But the mother's name didn't come up.
But
It's
let's-
bad
but-
writing, is what I'm saying.
But let's
Lee,
talk about.
Your mother's right.
in the comics, in the movies, in the cartoons, every iteration where you see Batman meeting Superman, they don't like each other.
No, not at
And
first.
that
Yeah.
is
Batman
Animated
across the
series do a
board.
great,
Yeah.
the animated
Yeah.
series is great crossovers.
And is across the board. They have to eventually like each other through
Yeah.
some kind of conflict.
Through
And
mutual
then,
respect.
through
Yeah.
mutual respect that
Yeah.
they build. And then
Seems Starbucks over.
and usually it's through a common battle. They meet a common enemy, but at first,
Which
they're-
they could have
they're-
done.
At first, they're enemies
Yeah,
themselves.
They could have
did.
done.
Doomsday out
Instead of
nowhere.
Doomsday just showing up, just,
Well,
Oh, by
whatever.
the way,
we
I'm
talk
just a
about-
third act guy.
Oh, sorry.
Can we talk about the fact that
Neo-Zod.
I actually don't care that Batman was killing people in the movie. I think that's a weird. I don't know. I mean, I understand the character doesn't in certain, but that's not the problem for me. The problem is more just like it was a rush to a fight that they needed to stretch. Because I love the Tower of Babel, the JLL issue. Where do you guys know
Yeah,
that
I
one?
know what you're talking about.
Where it's like that's just such an awesome story where Batman's. The Justice League's destroyed because they find Batman's plans and how we would take out each Justice League member, which is just brilliant. Batman.
They brought it back
Of
with
course he'd
OMAC
have a
and Brother
plan
Eye,
Bs and
yeah.
how to take out the Justice League.
Right.
But then it's like, it's just that sort of sneakiness of Batman that of course he could beat them all because he's smart. It makes for me Batman the best hero. He's my favorite always. But I liked that Snyder was sort of going there when we saw the trailers and that Ben Affleck's watching, oh my God, who's the Superman destroying my city? I need to do something about it. But then they rush and then it becomes a Lex Luthor show, and it is, to me, poorly written because you got to build that conflict of Batman v Superman. It's the title of the movie. It just builds the scene that, I don't know, you really felt that was worthy of those two titans coming together?
First, I think that remember, I have to bring it back to Man of Steel for just a second. Zack Snyder said that we cannot introduce a Superman in the world that we have today with all the Twitters and Instagrams and everything that's going on and have him just save a plane in the United States because then he's just an American hero. That's all he is. He just saves a bunch of people in America and everybody else will be like, who is this dude who's flying around with all these superpowers? We need to get him. He's a threat. Okay? So he introduced him in Man of Steel with a world threat. Another alien of equal power that's going up against, that's potentially destroying the world. They're going to terraform the planet. So he introduced Superman on a much larger scale. Superman, on his very first battle, had to go against 3 superpowered people as strong as him when he had never fought full powered before. So yes, he is going to have some mistakes. Yes, it is going to look very bad to some dude who's sitting there going, man, the worst thing I had to go up against was the Joker and Two-Face. This dude's taking down buildings with his eyeballs.
We don't know that. We don't know everything Superman's been against, or Batman's
No,
been
no.
against,
We know-
because they haven't shown us anything. They
Okay.
haven't given us
I
anything.
think that's the problem, and they rush to it. And then the problem is also look, I'm okay with a darker Superman. I think there's a way to do that, and I don't actually discredit Zack Snyder for doing that.
I mean, he's just supposed to be a beacon of hope.
He didn't save
Best of
anyone in Man
humanity.
of Steel.
Yeah.
Like
Nothing.
that's those sequences against Zod would have just been so much more tense and exciting if he had to like catch somebody while Zod's doing it. He didn't give a shit about those buildings.
He saved the family right at the end. He just
Yeah.
right at the end.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
saved the family.
You know what?
They're saved.
This
I'm
is
sorry.
we
Everyone
wanna
keeps
be
saying he didn't
technical-
save anybody. I'm like, he saved like
this
three
is
people
what
at
would
the
have
end there. He
redeemed
saved
that
them.
movie for me. This is
Those are the core problems as to why I have a problem with those
Go ahead.
movies.
Go ahead,
Let's
Don.
be technical. He technically saved the world. The world was being terraformed to become New Krypton. Everybody else would have died. So
He also
yes, he
caused it.
didn't save a lot, like everybody in the city. He didn't save like his own people. Then he had to sacrifice them, which technically that's a
Genocide.
major sacrifice. He prevented.
well,
his
I mean,
species
it's
from
not a
being gone.
sacrifice if you don't know them.
Yeah. They were.
What?
They were
I'm sorry.
It's a sacrifice.
I just finished the genocide of my planet destroying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
by
He
killing the
guaranteed-
last
But
three
he's
people
the
that I
last
was left.
one.
Does he know anything about them? He doesn't know
to keep
Uncle
on the
Rob
point of
and
did
his
he
DNA in there.
Did
Rod
he
L?
ruin the DCU? I think there are reasons why people are fairly criticizing him. I think we can all agree to that. But I don't disagree in that having a dark Superman and having a dark Batman aren't bad. I don't think he ruined it. I think the screenwriting and the lazy push to try and match the Avengers and the MCU, which Warner Brothers has now admitted was what they were starting to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's more what do it. Was it Snyder who ruined the DCU? I don't really think so.
he was supposed to be their
I
Kevin
assume you guys
Feige.
agreed he didn't ruin
He
it.
didn't ruin it at all.
So I'm going to surprisingly side with you and say I don't think he did ruin the DCU. Gil and Lee, you obviously are saying he did.
Yeah.
It's his name on the thing. At the end of the day, regardless of this so-called like studio interference or any bullshit like that, it's his name there. If he was doing something that wasn't what he wanted to do, he could back out.
No.
Yeah, it would suck.
No,
Or
I mean,
contract shit.
he's
but-
made it clear in these recent reviews. He's made it clear that the Warner Brothers was forcing him to change Justice League to be more Avengers-like. Jason Momoa, you don't keep touching that because that's even worse. Jason Momoa has said they were trying to make Avengers. Everyone's been trying to say they were trying to copy Avengers the whole time. Whatever you do, don't keep shaking the microphone like you're doing because it's heavy.
No, I'm hearing like a lot of feedback in mine.
Oh,
that's
just
why.
take your headphones off. I don't
Okay.
know. As
So,
long as he hears.
He was supposed to be the Kevin Feige, though. He was supposed to be the
No.
guiding light of that universe. Yeah, he was building up. They gave him already Justice League.
No, what's
they
his
gave
name
him
was
who?
Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
Jeff Johns.
was supposed to be Kevin
He
Feige.
didn't get promoted until recently.
Well, that's my point.
to, like, creative officer.
Did Zack Snyder ruin the DCU? Is the
I mean,
argument? And I got to
Jeff
be
Johns
technical.
screwed
I don't
up
think
on
he did.
GL. I mean,
I think Zack Snyder had a different vision than a lot of people wanted, and I think had he really been able to do his vision the way he wanted, it might have been interesting.
maybe it's a
the version's talking
50-50.
that he was going to
justifies
keep.
that.
I mean, we'll talk
Darkseid
about his
show up and kill Lois Lane and this new. I don't know.
It could have been interesting.
Yeah,
I don't
I
disagree
don't
with
have
you.
When I see him talking about Batman and like "fuck you," of course heroes can fail. Like I don't
Yeah,
know. I think it's kind of
that's-
ballsy. It's kind of ahead. It is a little bit ahead of
After
its
the
time.
fact, that's not ballsy.
How are you
No,
going to
I
give someone
believe
that
you.
Like
has
I
a
feel
lot
like
of skill and
afterwards,
talent
no,
and
in
handcuff them?
retrospect, it was a bad idea.
Right.
Like that's not
Well-
fucking ballsy.
All right, so I mean, obviously, comment below what you think. Did he ruin the DCU? What do you guys think? Are you surprised that I don't think so? But what?
By DC.
But let's talk
like
about his
DC
non-DCU
money.
movies. I want to touch upon that a little bit. I saved less time for that because I figured more people
pretty
want to hear
small.
us argue about DCU than the Guardians of Gaul. But what about his non-body of work? I mean, Dawn of the Dead's a pretty good movie, no?
Dawn is fantastic because it's written by someone else and someone that understands the genre. James Gunn, who of course is a genius, hasn't really made a bad movie. I mean, can you say he has? I mean, anyone?
Yeah, but like he directed it.
That's fine.
He executed that vision.
Yeah.
and,
Wait,
And-
that's his vision.
Wait,
but
wait.
all the other ones are no. It's studio.
Well, let me say this part. If he's taking someone's written word and he's putting it on screen, it takes a certain skill and talent to execute it to make it vision come through.
I don't disagree with
I
you.
watched Dawn of the Dead, and I said, "This is a beautiful zombie
It
film."
relaunched the zombie genre. Let me say
really
something
did,
else.
yeah.
The movie's made 3 times in the script, when it's directed, and when it's edited. And Zack Snyder was there to direct it, and he was also there in the post to edit it. So Zack Snyder is 2/3 of that vision at the end of the day. So yes, James Gunn inspired and wrote the story, but Zack Snyder executed it and relaunched. We wouldn't have Walking Dead and everything
We're
else.
going to give him
without
Dawn of the
that.
Dead. It
Yeah,
sounds like
that no.
everyone's already-
Dawn of the Dead was
What about
fantastic.
300? 300.
300 again,
He
based
created-
off something else completely. It's basically a page-for-page remake of the comic.
Except that he introduced these styles where you had 2 cameras and you were going from the wide to the close,
he's
slow
great at
motion, and
visuals.
coming back.
Yeah.
And,
So
and he,
vibrant.
and he,
No one would
he
disagree.
he gave us a vibrant color palette, and he was able to take this one piece of rock and turn it 15 different ways and give
I gotta
us
say, I love 300 and
All
stylized. It's pretty
style.
People were there's
no
Spartan
substance,
gyms
is what I'm
and
saying.
stuff now.
He has no
The
substance.
story itself was not
The
substance.
no,
if
the
you
story.
read the book, it's
I mean,
not like that substance.
Could have been. But
People were
You watch that movie,
airbrushing
still
their
acting
abs
it.
from that
He
point
managed,
forward.
He managed to make a movie with no substance, but still make it kind of fascinating and interesting.
Yeah, I know.
And a huge
Everyone
The
monumental.
movie's fantastic because it's based off something he didn't write himself.
I
That's
think
how
you're
I
being
argue
harsh.
it.
That's
That
hard to
movie
take
you
that
watch
moving to the
when
page.
you're ready to go to the gym or go to a fight. Do you watch that movie to get pumped up?
Do
Like
you
if
do
you're
that
gonna play a rock
I watch Creed.
Hey, how many
Any
times?
rock
How
song.
many memes?
All right, so
and
we're gonna give 300. Right? We get so
Right.
what about what after 300?
Let's do Sucker
Sucker
Punch
Punch.
Sucker
because you know you want to
Punch,
go
yes.
into Sucker Punch.
What
Let's
about
do
Sucker
it.
That
Punch?
movie
Let's
so
go.
much. Hate them. I bought the Mondo poster 2 weeks before it came out, the movie, and I instantly, after I saw the film, gave it to a friend of mine who liked it. I was like, I know I paid like $80 for this fucking thing, but go
can't
ahead.
own it.
You should have
Go
given it to
ahead.
me. Me
I-
and my
I
wife would have
would've,
put
yeah,
it in
I'm
our
sure.
front lobby as a piece of art.
That movie was a video game, and it would have made such a fantastic video game. But the movie itself was terrible. I couldn't tell what was going on. By the end of it, I was like, none of that mattered at all. Nothing that happened because it was all in a third layer of another. It's like he tried to make Inception, and it just didn't work.
So you're saying you
Work.
didn't enjoy it because you couldn't grasp his vision?
Ooh, damn.
Yeah,
Sucks
I
for
couldn't
you.
because
So
it
maybe a
wasn't.
genius?
Insanity.
I can grasp insanity.
We understand. Not
I
everyone can
love
follow
Legion.
Shakespeare either. so
Legion
you're
is a
good.
dip into insanity. Sucker Punch is a dip into some 90s kid's fucking
Yeah.
vision of a woman. That's all it is.
Gil?
Oh, you're a sexualized skimpy girl.
I kind of like. I'm a detractor. This is to me one of Zack Snyder's only good films that I've enjoyed.
That's the one you like.
Yeah, I know.
Traitor.
Just because
Traitor.
He said
We already got you on the side. Now.
Well, no. Everything else is shit. And the story's still shit. But he said that he wrote it or directed as a video game. And when you look at it, yeah, that's a video game. And there's also
Yeah, it
this
is.
like interesting concept of her psychosis and fall into insanity. Like that's interesting, but the dialogue and everything else, like I'm probably going
All right.
too
Well,
deep.
he just won Sucker Punch too. You
Well,
guys
there
don't
you
even have
go.
to defend
There
it.
you go.
No,
So
pretty much is
boom. So
He made
3
me
for 3
hate
right
John
now.
Hamm. That's horrible. How do you make me hate John Hamm? I love John Hamm.
Listen, I don't know about reason why you can't follow the movie such a Sucker Punch and understand it's.
To be fair, you have to
it's-
really
it's-
have a high IQ.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm just saying, not everyone can follow these complex storylines.
Well,
of-
give me just so we wrap this chapter. Anyone add why is Sucker Punch added to his genius?
Well, you said it's kind of an Alice in Wonderland, but it has a video game style to it, and it's this woman who has to use this escapism to get through the abuse that she's going through.
The trauma.
Yeah, and it's very stylized, very visionary. Like, hey, listen, this is the direction I'm going with. It is very unique. You can't compare it to really many other things, and it's
Inception?
a precursor.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it's before Inception, and it's a precursor. Yes, it's a precursor to what he did with 300. It is a style. It is what we look for directors. We look for a style. We look for vision. We look for a signature. We look for something that says, "Hey, man, I was entertained. I got a story, and wow, that was
also a
something
good
I hadn't
story."
seen before."
That is fair. It does that. So all right. So I would argue that was unlike 300. That was more the style didn't give up to no substance. But it seems like the team here was in your favor, so it doesn't matter. What about Watchmen? Watchmen.
Again, are you going to say that wasn't faithful
No,
to the
I
material?
actually liked Watchmen. I thought he did.
Okay.
All right.
I thought.
All right.
Oh, listen,
I'll
we're-
be
Hey,
the-
can we high five now?
No. So, Zack Snyder's a hit or miss. He is a hit or miss. He swings, either he hits it or he just fucking goes off. I don't do baseball. I don't fucking know.
I'm sorry. The only
Anyways,
hits and misses I see is
it's
that he
just-
hits and he misses or maybe misses, but it's
No,
kind of
it's a
hit
miss.
on that side.
So I will say,
Go ahead with
Watchmen.
Watchmen.
I love the comic book. Alan Moore is a god. I would suckle at his teat. The movie that they gave us is the epitome of what we were just saying. All style, no substance. The man doesn't understand the fucking story. Like there's a scene, and I'll never forget it because it pissed me off when I saw it, where Owlman, after not fucking
Owlman, yeah.
Is it Owlman? Yeah.
it's-
Sorry, I'm not good with names. After like not doing shit for a very long time, punches out a fucking wall. Like, no, these are supposed to be average fucking people who decided to rise up and fight crime. Not someone who can punch out a fucking wall.
And that you get people like Rorschach, and you get moments like, "I'm
Because
not in here
Rorschach
with
is
you.
insane.
You're in here with me."
Rorschach is
Come on.
insane.
Yeah, that's Alan Moore's writing. That's not something Zack Snyder queued up on his own.
It doesn't matter. He
And that
he
awkward
took that.
sex scene? Oh, come on. That was
that's actually shot for shot with the comic. That is shot for shot.
Everyone's had awkward sex in their life,
Awkward
okay?
sex happens in general.
It just happens. Okay, he just captured something real on film. That's all.
I mean, we'll never get the giant alien squid that we all wanted. We all wanted that ending. It was never going to happen, and that's fine. I can live with that.
A genius would fucking put that shit up there.
A genius would have went there. A genius would have pushed for it.
A genius gave us a Mr. Manhattan walking around
with
and
his schlong.
His schlong, blue schlong.
That's from the comic books.
Yeah, that's nothing original.
That's not.
Why do you guys take it away from someone who sits there and says, "Hey, man, here's a comic book"? And first of all, you bash him for going for something with Man of Steel and saying, "Hey, I'm going to take this line of Superman and go this way." But then you bash him again when he says, "Okay, this is the comic book page by page. Let me go ahead and translate this to film." When the biggest
I'm saying I'm not bashing him. I'm not bashing him. I'm saying it's a good movie. I like that movie.
Yeah, good. We got you. Next.
No.
I'm just saying. When it's page for page,
only,
he does well, but when he tries to go off in his own direction where he doesn't understand source material,
he should have put the squid in. He
screws
should have
up.
put the squid in. That was a mistake.
Definitely.
But the rest of it is pretty adapted.
It's a solid
perfectly.
film.
I mean, if you watch the Watchmen exclusive Ultimate Cut, he even puts the Black Freighter in between.
The
5-hour. It's a little long for me.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
And it's Night Owl, just so we're clear.
Thank you.
But yeah, overall, it sounds like you're saying you like this film. So
I did.
What about Guardians of Gaola? Has anyone actually watched this?
Fuck you.
Fucking crickets.
No.
Oh, you haven't?
I've seen it.
I have.
I've seen it.
actually
Doesn't mean I
pronounced
enjoyed
Gaola.
it. That movie was garbage.
It was beautifully animated.
It was
That-
owls, right?
That was like Martin Scorsese's Hugo.
Did he make it for his kids?
It's a movie for his kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Okay,
make
yeah,
it a movie.
pass.
Even the kids
Can we give him a pass? Yeah.
My mother actually loved that movie. So anything you say,
She also
negative,
loves
you talk
you,
about my
so
mama.
bad
Yeah,
things
that's
all around.
it.
I would never say anything horrible about your mama.
Oh, I'll say it.
I haven't met her, but
All
I
right,
imagine
well,
she is a
he-
wonderful
he
woman.
pretty much passed through his non-DC body work. Holds up, I would say, in this panel.
That is
You
good.
guys voted he did. So he wins that. So he's already won 2 debates. Let's see. Is he a good director? That's our final debate here. Is he a good director overall? We talked about his
Doesn't pay
style.
off.
He's a stylized director. Snatty light is making me gassy. He's a stylized director. Do we think overall that means he's a good director?
That's a
Go
new
ahead.
tagline,
I open
yeah.
it up.
You guys
Good
wanna go
director doesn't make you a genius. Joe Johnston's a great director. Doesn't make him a genius. He makes the same movie every time.
Well, name like that,
I mean,
expect.
That's fair. I would agree with that.
There's several directors out there who make average to mediocre films, and then you got those like Zack Snyder who go for greatness.
Yeah.
Sometimes hit it,
Fails.
but then oftentimes fall on their face, and then gets mad at the audience for them not liking
You didn't
it.
get mad.
understand.
He's all like, "You don't understand. Batman killed you. Live in a fucking dream world.
Yeah.
Like you're watching
These
comic book
are
movies
real
and you
movies.
want gritty and reality. No.
And how many
I
artists
wanted
are
the
like that?
Flash to come back and tell you not to make this movie,
Yeah, that's not- you can't
and
say
he
that.
didn't.
Oh god, I forgot about Flash. Fucking ADD on the spectrum Flash.
Oh, and that's why we
Why?
can't get a Flash
Why did you
movie
do
because
that?
he fucked it up, and
Yeah,
Ezra
Ezra Miller's
Miller
trying to write
is
his own
stuck
now.
on Zack Snyder's world instead of letting
wait, I'm gonna work with-
capable
That should
directors
fucking
make a
show
good
you
movie.
How bad he is when people are like, actually, can I take care of this? Because I think I got it more than the fucking director.
He had
All
to
right,
bring in
let's hear
Grant
it. Genius.
Morrison. Come
Why,
on.
why is he a genius director? Well, I'm on the fence here. It sounds like he's not.
Let's put it this way. Okay, he's taken several properties. Okay,
And
some of them.
destroyed them.
Some of no. Actually, you agreed on one. You agreed on the other. We agreed on the rest. So far, he's batting almost 100 on this one. Okay,
Absolutely not.
And those
I
are
was-
all ones he
Absolutely
directed.
not.
So and so let's take this for example. He's has a singular vision. He's been able to bring style, and much like any other artist in their time, sometimes people could look back at it and go, "Man, you know what? That was a better film than when I first anticipated." That happens to a lot of people. Hey, I'm sure if Beethoven was getting out on Twitter or something like that, or if Shakespeare was like, "What do you mean you gave me a bad review? Thou shalt die." You know what I mean?
William
the
Shakespeare
same-
went
Joy
through
is
a
a
lot of bad
masterpiece.
reviews.
Exactly.
I
He
love
would've-
this
he would've
concept.
Shakespeare went through a lot of bad reviews, and he didn't make a garbage like Batman v Superman.
I just
So.
love this concept that,
Have
like,
you read all of Shakespeare's work?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Shakespeare right now rolling over his grave, like,
everyone
fuck
always
you
points out
guys.
like 3 pieces of Shakespeare. There's like 500 other pieces of
he's
Shakespeare.
written
I'm
a lot.
sure
I'm
that
sure
he's
he's
like
written some
it's
shit.
garbage. Okay, so yes,
But
he is
even
a
he's
genius.
willing to
and
admit
you
it's
said it
garbage.
yourself. He goes for the fences, and that's what a genius is. Someone who says, "I have a vision. I'm gonna go for it. No one else has done this. No one else has seen this. I'm gonna go for it."
and no one wanted it.
And guess what? Most people do love it. Most people revel in it.
That's
Well,
not
love
true. That's not true. That's why they kept changing it up. It's because
Yeah.
people didn't like it.
Well,
was
you know
it
what?
making
People-
money? Yes.
People not accepting it.
Yeah, we're gonna see
people
it.
not
It makes
accepting
money.
it and not making money is one thing. Was it genius when he did it? Yes, because that's the thing. That's the thing about a genius. Most people don't understand geniuses in their
like
time.
calling,
Genius
that's
also
like calling
insanity.
Michael Bay a genius for
Yeah.
the Transformers
Yui
series.
Ball
It
is
made
the
shit tons
biggest
of money,
fucking genius.
but
We don't
it's
wanna go down that
terrible.
We are not
No, no,
talking
no,
Michael
no.
Bay.
I'm
We're
just
not talking-
saying
we're
that's
not
the
talking-
same.
Yui
That's the
Ball.
same
All
thing.
right,
Hold
Same
on. I hear you, actually, Damien. It's interesting because when I hear his comments and I hear him standing up for himself, even now, I mean, That guy has been kicked down like no other. People just hate him for destroying their Batman, their Superman, and he has the balls to still be like, "Fuck you!" Like, yes, your heroes fail sometimes, and it's true.
What other choice does he have? He's not getting work right now.
No, he could get work. He could totally get work.
Didn't he sign on to a new film?
He has like a Netflix movie.
He's a respectful name director with a passionate fan base. He could work. Yeah.
Yes. God, I hope
there are fans that hate him, but I do applaud his balls to sort of own it still and try to keep explaining it. And you know what? After all these Marvel movies and everything, I kind of want a dark, gritty world. I just don't think
every other
I don't
Batman
think
film.
I was ready for it. So you're sort of getting it, Don. What do you think? Is he a genius?
Yes.
Was he ahead of his time?
That's where it is. He's ahead of his time. Okay, great example. The new movie coming out, Brightburn. We were just talking about that earlier. Yeah. It's a dark Superman.
Yes, we were.
It's basically Superman gone evil.
Yeah, what if the kid was grown up trying to be nice and
you know who's back in that? James Gunn.
Yeah.
But you know
the Gunn brothers.
The Gunn brothers
did it, yeah.
But you know who came up with the idea of let's make dark DC characters. Let's have them
DC. DC did.
Yeah,
I mean, Red Sun.
Who's that?
Cinematically.
Cinematically. And
Just saying. It's been done. There was a Smallville episode of it. It's called Red.
Never been done.
Should look it up.
No, he's doing it all himself.
Smallville now.
He wrote these suits.
But you're trying to say Zack Snyder came up with Dark Superman?
Irredeemable.
No.
So
Zack Snyder decided
he's going down that path. If he didn't get any interference and with his vision of how to execute these things, we would have gotten that path.
Well, it's true because he
essentially
would have
injustice.
those
We already got
nightmare
that.
sequences in Justice League were supposed to be real dark. He was supposed to align with the bad guys, and that's why they were going to have that.
We already got that with Jason Roth when Superman Returns. We already got, hey, DC went and said Superman Returns, bright Superman. Let's go with that. Jeffrey Donner.
There's a lot more than that.
Hey,
they
tried it.
That was an attempt to remake the 70s. They tried to squeeze it into that mythology, and they messed it up.
They tried it, and it took a visionary.
Don't make me defend Bryan Singer. How
you
dare
are,
you?
You are. That's
hate
exactly
that
what you're
movie.
doing. You're
I hate that
defending-
movie.
You're saying that Zack Snyder should have done that. That's
No.
exactly what you're saying.
No, it should have been Mick G.
That
He was originally
genius
signed on.
making him defend Bryan Singer. That was
terrible.
So, there you go.
How
You're
dare
on
you.
record. You defended Bryan Singer.
No, it should have been
Well
Mick G. It should have been Mick G, but he was afraid to fly to Australia. Pussy.
Is that why?
Yes. What? He didn't want to fly to Australia. Look it up.
we
That's
fact
why.
check something?
Yeah,
Wow.
go ahead. Go ahead. It was
Any other
Mick
final
G,
thoughts? From
almost
you from
Brett Ratner.
I'm on the fence. We're wrapping this up.
So
this is it. Last
the
thoughts.
major thought right here is: did he ruin the DCEU? Yes. Why? Because there's no longer a DCEU.
Yeah.
It is now called the Worlds of DC. Why? Because they couldn't make a coherent Justice League movie. They couldn't get everyone together. They couldn't make the MC, like the Marvel Universe. They just couldn't do it. So now they're like, fuck it, everything's Elseworlds. You can make a movie, and that may pay out in the end. But was that the original vision? Was that the foundation that Zack Snyder brought? No.
To be fair, no one has done the MCU.
That's true.
No one has.
Dark Universe?
Right?
No.
No one has done it.
No.
So
I'm just saying they tried. They
to blame
failed.
Zack Snyder for that and
Yeah.
not blame Warner
It was
along
a
with that.
shaky foundation.
You
No.
cannot blame him
I
for
will
that.
blame Warner's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin should have kept his dick in his pants and stopped worrying about Charlotte Kirk. All right, that's all I'm saying on that one. Maybe a little more, less attention on her, a little more attention on making Warner or DC films. It would have been fine.
So you're blaming the corporation,
Yeah.
and that
And them hiring
that,
He
hold on,
clearly
hold on.
wasn't
You're-
paying attention.
You're blaming those two, but that doesn't take away from his genius. You're
No, we
saying
blame him for being
that
bad.
didn't
Yeah.
work. You're saying that didn't work, but you're not taking away from
They
his
shouldn't
genius
have let him
'cause
do that.
you agreed.
He's not genius.
No.
You got to make something
He's-
original. He
he's
hasn't
2
done
steps
anything
away
original.
from eating a hamburger off the floor and calling his ex-wife.
Oh, Hasselhoff.
Why
damn.
is he? I'm gonna. So that's a good on your closing thoughts, guys. Now it's your turn to rebuttal. And he hasn't made an original thought. Lee makes a good point. How do you can a genius only copy and adapt things, or does he need to be original? And do you think Zack Snyder has been original? And also, just I want to clarify, Mick G did lose the gig of Superman because he did not want to fly to Australia.
That's crazy.
That's
I
true.
learned something new.
That is true. Right.
I
Go
mean,
for
to be a genius, he doesn't always have to be making something original. There's plenty of geniuses that are out there, scientists, mathematicians. They are geniuses because they're good at what they do. And no one else is as good as what they do, or they are up in the top tier. That's what is making a genius. It's not because they do something original every time. I could do something original right now, and it'd just be garbage.
I've seen it.
Exactly. Now, the part that makes him a genius is the fact that he sees things that we don't see. He has visions, and
He's schizophrenic.
that could be true. And there are
Some
geniuses
geniuses
that are
are
like
crazy.
that.
Some are, yeah, that's true. Van Gogh.
The fact of the matter is, if you're gonna give him a canvas to work on, you don't want to handcuff one hand behind his back. You want to give him full reins, and then you want to argue the fact that they want him to handle DCEU, and he's the one that destroyed it. No, it's a teamwork project. And and you're saying that's not original, that he's the one handling it. That's Kevin Feige did the same thing. I toss that out too. He is an artist, and he's good at what he does. He's a fantastic director. He backs ideas that are fantastic ideas. When he's a producer, he produces projects that are great projects. Case in point, Wonder Woman.
It
was story by. He walked into the room and said, "Hey, Wonder Woman's from Amazon."
But
she got off the island.
He sees the greatness in that.
Yeah, he sees the paycheck.
Yeah, and didn't Christopher Nolan start really? Isn't he a producer on Man of Steel and Batman?
On Man of Steel, yeah. I don't think he was Batman v Superman. The Man of Steel, yes.
Blaming him?
So
I would happily.
Not the director.
Yeah, I would happily blame him.
All right, so you're just butthurt because of Batman v Superman, and so I'm
Man of
leave it on
Steel,
that one.
and a horrible Jonathan Kent.
But here's the thing, just to back up what he
Worst
said,
father ever.
what Anna said. Here's the thing.
Cyborg. Oh.
That Zack Snyder does execute a vision. He does execute it very well. He executes it better. He executes it differently than everybody else. He has his vision. He is a genius in his vision and his execution of those visions. Not every great filmmaker writes their own stuff. Let's start with that as well. Let's not forget that. Hey, guess what? George Lucas is a fantastic writer. He created this huge world, and then he didn't nail the landing on some of those films. Okay. But is he less of a genius because he didn't come up with this fantastic world? No, he's still a genius. He still gave us something that was like epic and changed the world. Zack Snyder has been giving us visual genius. He's a visual director. Yes, he's a visual director. Yes, he gets the script from some other people, but he gives us something that is uniquely his, something that is uniquely of that artistic perspective, and that what makes him a directing genius.
All right, I got to wrap it up. That's the end. I got to say I was on the fence, but after I heard that, you know what? I heard a lot there that I agree with, because the truth is, are we here talking about McG movies? No.
Charlie's Angels is fantastic.
There's a lot of directors who have not gotten to the level where we could have this kind of argument. And just because we don't like it doesn't mean the guy didn't make something. He's making us talk about it in ways still to this day. And weirdly enough, I don't like his vision. Some people do, and I gotta respect that. That's what you gotta learn in this new toxic world we live in. Is some people aren't gonna agree with what you like, and we gotta learn how to adapt and just. You know what? That wasn't for me, but I'm glad somebody liked it. And you know what? As I've grown and I'm starting to see, like, it is interesting the approach he tried to take with his heroes. I was disappointed because I feel so much for these characters, but it was kind of genius to take all that money from Warner Brothers and put so much on his shoulders and take the risk he took to do what he did.
I like how you included all that money from Warner Brothers.
Oh, he took the risk.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a huge tentpole franchise. That's not like some indie movie. That's a lot of pressure for a director. You bum that.
I'd like to see him making indie movies.
He came back and did it again. He still got to do it.
They said, never mind. Don't worry about it.
He would have done Justice League had that was a tragedy. And
yes,
I don't believe for a second that was just
out of his
hands. That was sad. Yeah. And whatever. But my point is, they would have kept him through. Still, they were going to be loyal to him and try to do it. But the problem was DC, whoever it was, Kevin, all these people that were jockeying down. I blame them. There was a lack of studio, and no one had faith in anybody, and they weren't going to give him the reins. Right or wrong,
they couldn't
you give the genius the reins. If you're gonna bet on him, you got to full on and bet on him.
Yeah, you got to commit. You got to commit to a vision.
And I think hearing it in his thoughts, they half-assed it. They didn't commit to him, and that's why some of the stuff is disappointing. And I think that's the real problem. So I don't blame Zack Snyder. I got to say, he got all 3 points. Maybe Zack Snyder is a genius. In this show, he just won and said he is. I'm sorry, guys. Dirty. I'm siding with you. Zack Snyder is a genius. Bravo.
We all make... That's your Owls of Galul. It's fine.
I'm going to have to go take a shower after this.
It may be my Owls of Galul.
I feel so dirty.
What do you think in the comments below? Is Zack Snyder a genius? Is he are we crazy? Do we think we missed something? Tell us down below. Tell us what you think. And thanks so much to our fighters here. I want to thank Adon. Welcome back. Adonatron on Twitter and everything. Thank you so much. Damien at Mr. Creative Freedom. Anything you guys want to plug?
I will fight you to the pain. That's all.
Welcome back anytime.
I win battles. No, actually.
Yeah,
I may lose the battle, but I always win wars.
You're still undefeated.
He's really getting on that natty
He's getting cocky.
That's going to be my catchphrase.
Gil, you just joined Twitter. What is your Twitter?
I don't.
It's
remember.
on the screen.
Can you say it to
there
me?
There it is. At Burakia 88.
Baraka.
Yeah.
Baraka.
I'm trying something new.
Okay, he's joined Twitter. Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
luck.
people loved you in the review for Shazam.
Yeah, because I was right.
Those are wondering. That's
where our divorce happens right there. 'Cause I loved it.
Yeah, because I like good things.
Lee, you're also on Twitter. There's your handle.
I'm at
coming
the
up on
Funko
screen.
King or Funko Pop King.
Funko Pop King.
I also host Geeks Who Drink at C1949 here in Tampa, Florida. So if you're interested, every Wednesday, come on down.
All right, there it is, Funko Pop King. Thank you guys, and thank you all for home, and thank you to the Sweat Lodge. You got to check out the Sweat Equity podcast. Check out what they do. Thank you, Lee, Eric, and everybody. And JP, thanks for your help with the show. Everybody's awesome here, and it's been so fun to bring the show back. We'll be back. I'm going to do this as often as they'll let me, and as long as you guys keep watching. So coming back, tell us down below what other debates you want. The beauty of the show is we're going to do long-form debate over one topic. I like that. It's also uncensored. We can say whatever the fuck we want.
Woo.
Sorry, YouTube may penalize me. I may not get paid, but we're here for fun, not for money. And we want to hear what you want to talk about. So whatever it is, tell us down below, and we'll debate it. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and thank you. And be excellent to one another.
Woo!
Yeah.
Fuck Zack Snyder.